With your peers, with the leadership of Lois Peterson, a senior counselor here at Enka High School, committed to working together to educate our school and community about the opioid crisis in our community, the state, and our nation. We know a couple of things about education. We know education is power. Power to make informed decisions, power to learn from our past and not repeat our mistakes, and power to become part of the solution to our societal problems. Today I'm going to ask a few things of you as a listening audience. First, give these speakers your complete attention and the respect they deserve for coming here today and sharing their knowledge, their experiences, and their life stories. It's truly impressive that they're doing that. Gentlemen, I would encourage you to pay attention. I also ask that you listen with your mind to the facts about the crisis that we are facing and the facts about the science of addiction and what we're continuing to learn about drugs and their effects on our lives in the short term and the long term. Listen to with your hearts as you hear personal stories of addiction and the hope that these people offer. Finally, as you listen today, try to envision what you can do to be a part of the solution for your community. Thank you, and I appreciate you putting on your listening ears and being very respectful today.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Michelle Aguilar. Our student leadership team has been working on the drug awareness program today. I myself am involved in the Youth Coalition of Buncombe County, and I've also participated in the Student Summit for the past 2 years. We invite these speakers to come out today and to share their message about addiction, recovery, and also about having hope.
Hey, I'm Kaylee, and today I'll be introducing Bob Cummings. He is here to talk to you about the neuroscience behind addiction. He's worked at Red Oak Recovery and has worked there for almost 4 years. He has worked in this field for over 30. He has worked with people all ages around the community in prevention and recovery. Here's Bob to explain how addiction affects you and your brain and what it can do to you in your future.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was beautiful, by the way. Thank you. Hey guys, how you doing? Good. Here we go. All right. My name is Bob Cummings. I work with Red Oak Recovery. We're a family of addiction recovery program in the area. I'm a certified substance abuse prevention consultant and a wilderness EMT. And I do what's called staff recruitment. I also do training, and I do stuff like this, prevention. We just hang out with people like you and talk about stuff. I'm also a man in long-term recovery. I have over 35 years alcohol and drug-free. I started drinking beer with my dad when I was 7 years old. When I was your age, in Eastridge, Tennessee, at Eastridge High School, home of the Pioneers, never won a game, but we had pride. I was nodding off in class and getting in lots of trouble. I'm also, here's the kicker, I'm also severely ADHD, like you tell, maybe, all right? When I was your age, it was like I was a bad kid. Now I understand that it's all chemical stuff up here, and I have a hard time like focusing. So if I start talking too fast, someone here go, hey Bob, chill, man. And I won't get offended. I'll say, okay, oh, cool. Thanks. So here we go, all right? Now, I know I'm an old guy, but I'm not so old I don't remember being your age. And every year we had the drug talk, where somebody would come and talk to us about drugs. And human nature hadn't changed in 40 some odd years, all right? Whenever we had the drug talk, this is my reaction. I'm like half of you guys right now are going, oh, like, yeah, like, really? Do me a favor. Okay, this is different. You wait to see what we got, all right? This is different. I promise, I swear, I cross my heart, hope to die, that at no point am I going to say, boys and girls, drugs are bad. People with the drugs are bad. We're not going to do that. We're not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, all right? So, no, that's not going to happen. I personally remember Joe McCullough, Officer Joe McCullough, he was a sheriff's deputy in Eastridge, Tennessee. Every year he came and did the drug talk. And And he had a voice like this. He had a real raspy voice like this. And he would pace back and forth, and he would say stuff like, boys and girls, you ever take drugs, you gonna die. And then he would say stuff, all right, and every now and then he would look at someone, he would say something like, if you ever take drugs, and we would go, what does he know? How does he know? All right, so anyway, the problem is that human nature, again, hasn't changed in 40 some odd years. If somebody in authority tells you don't do that, what do? You do it, all right? Because you guys are 12 foot tall, bulletproof. So at no point today are we going to say, boys and girls, don't you do no drugs. What we are going to do is we're going to talk honestly and intelligently, okay? I'm a science geek. Part of my job is to know the science of addiction, why the brain does what it does. In the last 8 some odd years, this whole new paradigm of science has come out in reference to addiction, which is neat because since I work in addiction treatment, we now know why people do what they do. It also helps explain to me all those years why I did what I did. All right, but now I know. Now I have a better picture. So that in mind, I'm not gonna lie. If I tell you something that's based in science, okay, well, I'm gonna give you credit for intelligence because you guys are Enka, right? Right? You know what's going on. So here we go. Intelligent scientific choices. We do know that if you take drugs, it will not automatically turn you into some kind of wild animal. So with that in mind, I do want you to hear this, okay? It's not about good, bad, right, or wrong. It is about making informed, healthy, positive decisions that will lead developing brains to further develop without major problems, mishaps, etc. We now know from science that the human brain, which we used to think matured about the age of 17 or 18, we now know the human brain continues to develop with guys until about the age of 27. Females about the age of 24 or 25. Because females are smarter than guys. Right? So the brain is developing. So keep in mind, anything that we do that might radically alter the brain functioning can be permanent on up to the ages of 25, 27, etc. So that's the science. With that in mind, let's talk about the new science of addiction. All right, here we go. Again, I love science. The old science said something along the lines of people did drugs because they couldn't handle reality, their life was bad, they came from a bad home, or they were depressed or sad. They used the drug, they felt better, so they used it again, and then at some point, for some strange reason, the addictive process took over and people couldn't stop. And that was the old science, okay? The problem is there were lots and lots and lots of flaws in the old science. We now have the new science, all right, which has to do with neurotransmitters. Now, here we go. Why do people who do certain substances become addicted? Well, sometimes you just have to perpetuate the species. I got you on that slide, didn't I? Now you're really wondering, what's he talking about? Perpetuate the species, the whole picture of rabbits, all right? You just have to perpetuate the species. Let's talk about it. The brain, the thoughts, feelings, ideas, and your sense of good, bad, right, or wrong, etc. are all neurotransmitter based. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that your body produces naturally in appropriate amounts that make you want to do things or feel things or view reality in such a way that perpetuates the species, okay? When we live a life where we're naturally getting these neurotransmitters such as GABA, oxytocin, dopamine, acetylcholine, and so on, we're naturally making them do their job, we end up being very healthy, all right? And the brain works appropriately, the receptor sites get what they need, and so on, and we end up feeling okay. Reality's kind of neat. Now, the purpose of the neurotransmitters is to make us do things that perpetuate the human species that normally we wouldn't really do. Make things that were kind of like strange, make us want to do them. Case in point, eating. All right? Everybody likes to eat. If someone from another planet, if Golrock from planet Zorgon came down here and he said, in my planet, we don't eat. What is eating? And you say, eating? Oh, eating is cool, man. I do it all the time. And if Zorgon said, well, explain it, and you would say, well, eating, you get this stuff. And it's usually like soft or wet. And you put stuff on it, and then you put it in a hole in your face. Yes, that's what Zorgon said, all right? You put a hole in your face, and you crush it up, you masticate it with your teeth. You have to mix it with spit. And then after you mix it with spit and masticate it, it becomes this like gooey, slimy, shiny, wet ooze, and you swallow it. Cool, man, right? And then Zorgon would go, dude, you're weird, all right? Who would want to do that? But you all want to do that. In fact, the closer we get to lunch, the more you want to do it. Neurotransmitters make you want to do things to perpetuate the species. Everything from eating to friendship. And also, and don't freak out on me here, okay, but let's talk about it. Also, the very act of perpetuating itself, all right? Which, if Zorgon said, well, how do you reproduce? And you said, it's great, it's fantastic. The guy, the girl, the guy, he has to, and then, it's like, and then once you explain it, it's like, really? Now think about it, be honest, guys. Guys, especially 40 years ago, when you found out, you said, I would never do that. That's like the ickiest thing in the world. That's all you think about 24/7. Right? Hey, I'm 50 years old. I'll think about it 24/7. Girls, admit it, okay? It's like 40 years ago, you said, boys, you're stinky, they're itchy, they got cooties, and now you would give a week's worth of lunch money. Just to have a guy go, hey, what's up, Chief? All right? So here's my point. Don't get lost here. Something that normally would not be desirable or make sense because of neurotransmitter and receptor sites, etc., you want to do it. You think about it 24/7 all the time. It's all you want to do. Okay? That's neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters make you want to do things to perpetuate the species by filling your brain with receptor sites, certain chemicals that make you want to do this. Now, here's the kicker. Neurotransmitters serve to make the undesirables desirable in order to convince us to do things that perpetuate the species. When we allow the neurotransmitters that our body creates naturally to function, we tend to feel good and be productive, and the human race is further reproduced. All right? This is your brain on happy neurotransmitters. This is what we want. We want to be happy. We want to be healthy. We want to perpetuate our species, and neurotransmitters help us do that. Now, here's the problem. The deliberate taking in, according to science, the deliberate taking in of chemicals known to be mood altering, such as opioids, benzodiazepines, barbiturates, amphetamines, etc. And guys, listen, I hate to ruin your parade. Delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, which is the active ingredient in what? THC, right? Which is marijuana, weed, right? Gosh, okay. Listen, I hate to ruin your parade, but all the research now is showing THC is addictive. Even states where it's legal are admitting, yes, it's addictive, but let's regulate it. Okay, so THC is an addictive compound because it does the same thing with neurotransmitters, etc. Is it a medicine? Oh yeah, obviously it's addictive. All the research is saying yes. So let's talk about it honestly. When we take in these certain chemicals, all right, they cause major malfunctioning as well as short-term and long-term damage to the brain, chemical functioning structure, similar to a computer virus. The machine still works, but the overall effects can be dangerous and permanent. Now, listen up. Here we go. And addiction. Not everyone who uses becomes addicted, but a percentage of people who do. And the research is showing, obviously, the more someone uses, the greater the chances of addiction. Once a brain crosses over the chemical adaptation threshold, the sense of reality, purpose, motivation, reasoning, understanding grow more and more askew. The brain function begins to revolve around perpetuating the addiction and the chemical neurotransmitter releases. That's an easy way of saying that when because of use, the brain readapts itself to chemicals, to these addictive chemicals, the whole sense of reality, the whole purpose of the brain becomes perpetuating the addiction. That's the science, okay? Here we go. The chemical brain hijacking when up to a mega degree due to the introduction of exogenous chemicals, which are outside chemicals, serves to make the irrational seem rational, the bad and unhealthy seem good and healthy, and the crazy and insane behaviors seem like the right and acceptable thing to do. The brain is no longer seeing reality what reality is. The brain is seeing reality in such a way that it perpetuates the addictive process. Crazy things like spending all your money on drugs, selling yourself for drugs, lying or stealing, sticking a needle in your arm. Listen up. Here's case in point. You know somebody who does needles? Talk to them honestly and non-judgmentally and say, hey, man, tell me about your needles. And they'll talk as though it's the most normal thing in the world. They'll talk about needles the way I talk about my shoes, all right? They'll say, yeah, I got some dirty needles, and they were orange. Then I got some new ones, and the plunger's purple. It's really kind of pretty, but it feels a whole lot better. All right? I kind of like having that new needle, but they talk about it like it's the most normal thing in the world, okay? Because the brain now says that's normal. Overdosing, getting Narcan and doing it again, putting in school, etc. All these things are now the norm. And what we think is normal now is no longer the norm, that's abnormal. The problem then, once we cross over the chemical adaptation threshold, according to science, is we lose the ability to feel good naturally. It's a condition called anhedonia, the inability to naturally feel good again. Or to have good, clean fun. Or, here's the sad part, I want you to listen closely. According to research, the first neurotransmitter that goes haywire is the one that affects love. Think for a second, because if I'm actually addicted and I love you and you love me, and you're saying, Bob, please don't do that, please stop. If I listen, if I feel love, I have to stop, which then my brain will let me do because that's not perpetuating the addiction. If my kids say, Dad, please stop doing that, if I love them, I have to stop. So my brain makes me not able to love anymore. I also say that to say this. If you have mom, dad, boyfriend, girlfriend, best friend, whatever, who's actually addicted, and you find yourself going, why can you not love me? It's not their choice. They can't. They lack the ability of neurotransmitters to love you. It's not you. It's not their choice. Okay? So be encouraged. I've been there, done that. All right? Remember my alcoholic dad? He said, yeah, well, I can't live like other daddies do. It wasn't his fault. Okay? He couldn't because of the addictive process. We can't love anymore. Or make good decisions about drug use or other basic life decisions. How's my timekeeper? God, you're good. Here's the biggie, then I'm going to close up real quick. According to all the new research, why someone uses isn't the issue. The issue is simply what someone uses and the fact that they use. The addictive process is not based on somebody's willpower, reason for using, financial or social status. It's not based on how good or bad your home life is, what kind of parents you have, or who your friends are. It's based on the chemicals entering the brain, facilitating the neurophysiological changes in the receptor sites. It doesn't matter if you start using because you want to get high, or start using because the doctor says you need to take this because of this medical condition. It doesn't matter. Does all this sound pretty crazy? Like I'm just trying to scare you or something? I'm really not. This is just science, okay? Something that could never happen to you. Okay, hang out for a bit longer. Two of my best friends in the world, both of them I love dearly as my own kin, are going to feel you're going to talk to you more about the personal side. Not just the science, they talk the personal. Cool? Here we go. Real quick. You got a question? You're not sure about something? You want to call somebody and say, hey, Mr. Bob, I got a friend who might be smoking too much weed and he wants to know. Give me a buzz. Okay, call me. No pun intended. If you give me a call, all right? If you don't have my number here, ask for the school social. Hey, I want to get in touch with Bob. I'll be back in touch. Part of my job is talking to you, all right? Thanks, guys. I love Enka. I've been coming here for years. Love you guys. Glad you're here.
Substance abuse, addiction,
addiction and recovery is something few people truly understand. Today, Caleb McCoy II and Caitlin Ledford McCoy are here to share with us their personal understanding of these very things and more. Caleb was a multi-sport athlete for Swain County High School, and Caitlin was valedictorian of Cherokee High School in 2009. Together, since their journey of recovery that started 2.5 years ago, they have shared a vision of impacting the lives of others in hope. Not only does Caleb work as a peer support specialist and a recovery coach, but he is constantly operating to improve school systems and bring about his message to the younger generation. He and his wife, Caitlin, even have their own nonprofit organization called Breslin, which is planning to service those in need of support and recovery from substance abuse. Through many trials, these two have worked diligently to be able to contribute to our community the best they can. Their inspiration has touched many people, even those from schools that we know in this very county. Now, Caleb and Caitlin are here to inspire us.
Thank you. I'll steal my husband's spot since he ain't down here.
All right, so we've got a little competition that we've been having going since we started these presentations. Right now, the freshmen are the most enthusiastic and the loudest. I know you guys are excited to be in here, not in class, right? So let's give our presenters, Bob, student leadership, let's give them a round of applause. Y'all smashed it, y'all won, so. Okay. Like Bob was saying, if you have any questions, comments, you want to talk, this is my information, my email, Instagram handle, all that stuff. So I'm here for you guys after this is over or moving forward. Full circle moments in my recovery is like one of the biggest, my greatest blessings. One of the last times I was here, I have a history playing Enka in football. I won a state championship in 2001 with Swain County Maroon Devils. We lost 2 games that season. One of those losses was from Enka. So my senior year, though, one of my last memories here, we played here at Charles Stadium, and before the game I was mixing meth to my water bottles. And I was spiraling out of control of my addiction. So this is a huge blessing to be standing in front of you guys talking about recovery and sharing my story. I want you to think about 3 things that you want to achieve in your high school career, maybe moving after you graduate. And as I share my story, I want you to think about how drug addiction will help you get there. Or if you're struggling by not raising your hand and asking for help, how those things will help you get to these goals, these aspirations and dreams that you have for your life. The power of the human story is one of the most impactful things that we can experience. And so, like I said, I'm blessed to be here with you guys and share mine with you all. Opioid addiction will take you further than you want to go, keep you longer than you want to stay, and cost you more than you want to pay. Touch your neighbor and say, take. Touch your neighbor and say, take. Touch your neighbor and say, keep. Touch him and say, cost. So, if you notice this quote, notice these words in this context, they're not words that express empowerment and freedom. They're words that express control and bondage and imprisonment, really. The national average age for first-time drug use is 11. 1 in 4 teens has already tried prescription drug. We now live in a society where it glamorizes and glorifies drug use, the lifestyle. You know, we hear it in music and TV and social media all the time. But Bob shared a number with you guys a few minutes ago. And that's how, this is the reality of that lifestyle. This is the reality of addiction. 68,500 people lost their lives last year to overdose. 2017 had 72,000 people lose their lives to overdose. You put that into context, that is the equivalent of 190 people dying every day, which it's like a 737 jumbo jet crashing. If that was happening, we'd be doing more. And these are preventable deaths. And when I say preventable, by coming and talking, like if you know somebody that's struggling with addiction, you know somebody that's suffering silently, to listen to this information, get all these numbers and everything, and reach out and make connections for those people. This is February 2017, right after my 6th overdose. My nieces and nephews, who I want to talk about in just a minute, they found me in a closet by myself. I was overheating. I had a body temperature of about 104 degrees. They thought I was going to have brain damage. 3 of those overdoses, 3 of those 6, I had to be brought back with Narcan. My mom took this video because she thought it was going to be the last time that she'd see me alive. She took this video in hopes that if I did die, that she could share it with other people, share my struggle, share my story. So by the grace of God, I'm here in front of you today sharing my story myself. And like I said, the national average age for first-time drug use is 11. I was 11 years old when I was prescribed a narcotic. And due to high risk factors that I had in my life, things such as a family history of mental health issues, of alcoholism, drug addiction, peer pressure, early use, the highly addictive narcotic that was prescribed to me, it was shortly after I started taking this for migraines, about a month afterwards, at 11 years old, not much older than I am right here, this picture, I had a chair getting into the medicine cabinet. And I describe it as like I found a God of my understanding. It changed the way that I acted, that I felt, and that I thought. And it was taking me down this deep, dark path of destruction. I continued to hang out with the wrong crowds growing up. And by the time I was 17 years old, besides being part of the state championship team in football, I had a track scholarship to Western. I had a football scholarship to Mars Hill. I was a starting point guard on the basketball team. But my life was coming unglued. It was coming unraveled because of my addiction. I was failing to meet obligations. I ended up getting kicked off the basketball team. I ended up losing my scholarships. I got the girl that I was with at the time, I got her pregnant. Shortly after I barely graduated, I got another woman pregnant. I had 2 sons within a year with 2 different women. I was never a presence in their life. I was always ripping and running in the streets, thinking that I was tough, thinking I was fearless, but it was really fear that was driving me. I was lost, I was scared, and I was afraid to change. So my dad, when I was 23 years old, this disease is patient, it's cunning, and it's progressive. It's always taking you further and further down this path of destruction. And so when I'm 23 years old, I'm in the bathroom, and all the way up to that point, I had just been taking pills. Smoking cannabis, smoking weed, drinking. And I always said that I'm never going to stick a needle in my arm. I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to be like those other people. I'm not going to be a junkie. So at 23 years old, I'm in the bathroom by myself, got a towel at the bottom of the door, so my 5-year-old son who's standing outside the door can't see in. At 23 years old, I've done the thing that I said I was never going to do. My son's knocking on the door saying, Dad, what are you doing? I got a needle in my arm for the first time. Doing the thing that I said I was never going to do. Turning me into the person I said I was never going to be. My dad was diagnosed with cancer shortly thereafter. He was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I moved into the house with him, sick and suffering, had no ability to love or care because of my addiction. I'm named after my dad. My dad was my hero, my best friend. He was everything to me. I moved into the house with him, thinking I want to take care of him. In my mind, he's getting pain medication for his chemo and everything, and so in my mind, he owes me that pain medication for taking care of him. His chemotherapy was making him sick. Any chance that I got, he'd go to the bathroom, I'd be upstairs listening, just waiting how I could get his pain medication. He'd go in the bathroom, diarrhea, vomiting. I'd run into the room, steal his pain meds, steal his pills. It was turning me into a monster. Like I said, I lost that ability to love and to care. I was destroying the man that I loved and I held in high regard, who I'm his namesake. I was destroying him. He was dying, and I was speeding up this process. As I started preparing this message for you guys, and I started looking back and thinking on what to share, I remember something that I wish I could forget. They had gave my dad 6 months to live. He fought with everything in him for 3 years. He got put in the hospital from complications from his chemo. The woman you see right here in this picture, that's my sister. My dad was in the hospital. My sister and I was going up there to visit him. He's curled up in the bed, dying, suffering from his chemotherapy, from his cancer, fighting to stay alive. My sister and I are standing there withdrawing. Sweat beads coming down our face, trying to figure out how we're going to get the next tie, how we're going to get the next fix. That's all we could think about. We were standing there beside my dad, figuring out how we could get his medication out of his IV into our arm. I lost my ability to love and to care. It was determined that I couldn't be in a hospital room with my dad. Somebody had to be in there supervising our visits. This was destroying me. But like I said, I was so afraid to change. I was scared to ask for help. That it was killing me. At the end of my dad's life, 2 days before he passed away, he spoke to me, speaking life over me. And I try to share this. The words that we use are more powerful than the substances that we're addicted to. We have the ability to speak life and death over somebody, but my dad was speaking life over me that day. He was telling me, he said, "Son, I'm not worried about you. You're going to come out of this. You're going to get better. You're going to do great things for our family, for our community. You're going to do great things in life." As he's telling me this, I'm standing there looking at him like he's lost his mind. He don't know what he's talking about. I'm going to die like this. I'm nothing but an addict. I'm nothing but a junkie. This is all I'm ever going to be. 2 days later, I'm in the bathroom that's connected to his hospital room. I can hear my dad's heart monitor beeping, beeping, beeping. I hear a flatline. My hero, my best friend, my dad, my buddy, just died, and I got a needle in my arm. That wasn't enough. I still didn't need help. I needed help. I was scared to ask for help. So he died September 19, 2014. After he passed, I had so much guilt in my life for the things that I had done, for the person that I had become, for the way that the drugs had stole all my morals and values. I was so shameful and guilty of those things. I know some of you guys are sitting back right now and you're thinking, "Oh, that happened to you, Caleb. That's not going to happen to me." Some of you sit back saying, "Well, I'm in HOSA. I'm on a football team. You know, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to play college ball, or I'm going to graduate valedictorian." And that's how this disease kills so many. It deceives us into thinking that we're all right, we don't need help. And as I stand in front of you today, I'm sharing my story not just for you to say no, because the fact of the matter is, some of you have said yes. The fact of the matter is that I'm standing in front of you today to tell you there's a way out. How many of you guys have been swimming? Somebody pulls you down underwater. what's the first thing you think about? Anybody? Air. Do you think about your homeboys? You think about your girlfriends? You think about your family? Your friends? You think about any of that? No. You think about coming up, getting that air. You're going to kick, fight, scream, claw, whatever, punch, whatever you got to do to get that air. That's what my life had become. The drugs, the lifestyle, everything that came with it became my air. That's how I had to breathe. It took everything from me. Some pictures of me when I was using, lost, broken, and hopeless. Mugshot after mugshot. That's my sister. As you can see, unfortunately, she died earlier this year from a drug overdose. She suffered for pretty much her whole adult life from mental health issues, had a 20-plus year addiction, 39 years old. Left behind my 4 nieces and nephews. This is them standing around her casket. The little boy on the end that's broken. That's Samuel. It's my 6-year-old nephew. Samuel's the one that came in and found his mom laying on the bathroom floor. Samuel can vividly describe in detail how his mom was stiff, cold to the touch, how she had snot dried up on her face, still needle laying in the floor. He can describe all that to you. This is the cost. This is my little cousin Aubrey. This story was in the news back in 2011, 2012. Aubrey died in the back of a trailer by herself. She froze to death. My aunt, who was raising her at the time, had lost her ability to love, to care. She struggled with addiction. When autopsy report came back for Aubrey, they found that she had a couple of bites of a hot dog and Coke in her belly. That was it. Nobody was there to take care of her. She was alone. My sister's police report just came back last week. I had to relive all that again. Reading how my sister laid on the floor by herself for 4 to 6 hours before Samuel found her. And then ultimately the other kids came in the house and found her and seen her laying on the floor. That's why I get up and share what I share today. So they don't die in vain. So their lives and their story can live. Through me getting up, sharing their experiences, sharing my struggles. But today you can start making a difference. I want you guys to stand up. If you know somebody directly, stand up if you know somebody struggling with addiction right now. It might be yourself, and that's okay. I want you to stand up if you know somebody that's suffering right now. You be their voice. You be the person that stands up and fights for them. I want you to look around. Look around, everybody. It takes a lot of courage, but look how many people this affects. This is why we're having these conversations. Let's everybody give them a round of applause. I want you guys to understand the power that you possess by speaking about these things. By speaking about these things, you'll change the course of this epidemic. And we're here to change this drug epidemic and make it a recovery epidemic. And we do that by sharing one another's stories, sharing our struggles. We do that by raising our hand if we need help. So there's hope in recovery. On March 28, 2017, while I was locked up in the Swain County Detention Center, that was my first day of a new life. That was my day of redemption. After 6 overdoses, 3 times I had to be brought back with Narcan. All those close brushes with death. I finally realized I had a plan and purpose for my life. I'm telling you guys today that you have a plan and purpose for your life. I finally surrendered my life to God, and I was like, you know what? Do what you will with me. After all those rushes with death, I knew something. I was supposed to do something big. And I'm doing it right now, standing in front of you guys. So I finally stepped up and I said, this ends with me. This generational curse, this generational disease that my nieces and nephews are seeing is going to stop with me. The cycle stops with me. If you have a family member, if you have family that struggle with addiction, you can be the one that it stops with. You can change the whole course of your family. So today, when I surrendered my life to God, finally I was in jail, I had the most exhilarating feeling of freedom I'd ever experienced in my life. And I was still locked up. I knew something had changed in me. I knew I was going to do something different. I knew I was going to take suggestions. I was going to find a fellowship. I was going to get a different community. I was going to change everything about myself. So today I live a life of faith, hope, and love. I have faith in standing in something greater than myself. As I said, that for me, that's God. I stand in front of you today as someone that I hope instills hope into you guys. A beacon of light for you guys. Shortly after getting out of jail, my wife and I ran from Cherokee to Tahlequah, Oklahoma. And people always ask me my why. Why do you do that? I do it for you guys, to inspire y'all to go achieve the impossible. In July, we got back from the Pacific Coast Highway. My wife and I biked from Canada to Mexico. Okay, why do you bike? I bike for y'all. I bike for those that's sick and suffering. They don't realize that there's a way out, that you can live a different life. So today I stand in front of you guys, not as Caleb the addict, the junkie, the felon, all those things that we place on ourselves that give a stigma. I stand in front of you today as Caleb the hope dealer. I stand in front of you today as a recovery lion, a recovery champion. A dad. I'm able to be a dad now. A son, a brother, an uncle, a proud husband. I stand in front of you today telling you the hard truth about drug addiction in hopes that you never choose that path. And if you have chosen that path, there's a way out. I don't want you guys to be on somebody's slideshow. A grace to peace status. I don't want your friends tagging you in an Instagram post saying free Chastity or free Michelle. Because ultimately that's what it leads to. I don't want you guys having your family come to visit you in jail or prison or writing out your obituary. So I'll leave you guys with this. I wish I never had to put a substance in my body to fit in. That was the most instrumental time of my life, middle and high school. I thought I had to put a substance in my body to hang out with the crowd that I was running with. I thought I had to put a substance in my body to fit in and be cool, right? It almost destroyed me. I wish I had somebody in front of me telling me that I fit in already. So you can be that person that's sitting in silence, suffering right now. And if you are struggling, we're here for you to let you know that you have a plan and purpose and that you're amazing. Thank you, guys. Let's give it up for my wife here, Caitlin.
I just do want to praise my husband right now because it takes a lot of courage to get up here and to share, your struggles, your deepest, darkest secrets and things you went through in the past, especially when it's something like that. So it's pretty awesome because there is a lot of power in the human story, which is why I'm going to share some of mine with you all in hopes to inspire you to want to make a change in your life or a change in someone else's life. Have any of y'all ever felt unworthy? Okay. Ever made a mistake in life and felt like there was no turning back? Like, this is it, I've done it now, I'm doomed. I have many times. Or have you ever caught yourself looking around and saying, what in the world, how did I get here? How did I get in this moment? So that was me at the age of 25. I was nodding on and off in a jail cell, asking myself, how did I get here? Caitlin, are we really doing this again? Because this has been probably the 25th or 25th, I don't know how many times I've been in jail. But, I was asking myself. I was lost, broken, hopeless. Had no, I was so ashamed of myself at this moment. It wasn't always like that, though. I was raised in a really good home, all the way up, my parents, they ended up getting divorced when I was 12, but up until then, we lived a really great life, had a happy family. All throughout high school, I love to make people laugh, I love to make people smile. I was always outgoing, trying to be, right in the center of everything that was going on. That was just my personality. When I was in the 4th grade, I remember going to my cousin's graduation, and I was sitting in an audience just like this right now, and I remember looking up on stage at the person speaking, and I thought to myself, like, wow, this one person is influencing so many people. I've seen people laughing, I've seen people crying, I've seen people, getting excited, and I was like, I want to be that person. I want to get up on that stage and inspire people and let them know that they can make a difference. They can go out there and they can be, whoever that they're destined to be. They can be successful in all these different things, right? So from that moment, I said, I'm going to be that person. So I started working my butt off in school. But whenever I was 12 years old, and as Caleb said before, the national age, first time use is 11 years old. I was 12. And I remember going to a leadership camp, and my group of friends that I was there with, they were all standing in a circle, and somebody pulls out a bag of weed, and I hear it all the time. It's just weed. It's not even that bad. And that's what I thought. So as everybody was smoking it, it came around to me, and I was like, well, I'm not going to be the weird one left out. I'm not going to tell them no. So I gave in because I wanted to fit in. And I loved it. And at the time, like I kept saying, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Well, that led into drinking. By the time I was 14 years old, I was calling my mom from the police station because I got arrested for underage drinking, and that was a pretty scary moment. That drinking led into hanging out with an older crowd, and one night at a party, somebody pulls out pain pills. So by the time I was 15, I was doing my first line of crushed up pain pills. And after that, it was on. I was partying all the time, hanging out with my older friends. I thought that was the lifestyle that I wanted to live. I was doing everything in my power to keep up, to fit in with them. And all the whole time I was doing this, I kept telling myself, as long as I'm keeping my grades up, as long as I'm full of my parents, and as long as my teachers can't tell, as long as I'm doing all these things, then I can continue to do it. So I was on student elections, I was student officials, I was on HOSA, beta, any kind of extracurricular activity I could get involved in. I was doing it. I was playing sports, played basketball, volleyball, but at that same time, I told myself, I wasn't just going to be in the top 10, I wanted to be at the top. And so I ended up, I did graduate valedictorian of Cherokee High School in 2009. And I did get to give that speech that I dreamed of giving. And looking back on it, I I'm pretty sad about it because I didn't get to give it the way that I truly wanted to. I stood up there, I had done pills, I'd done smoked some weed before I went. I stood up there and I was high. I couldn't even really tell you exactly everything that I said that night because I can't remember. I truly feel I was just selling fake hope. Everything that I was saying to everybody, it didn't connect with who I was. If I ask you to do something, the person who I am today, I'm not going to ask you anything that I'm not doing myself, right? So everything I was encouraging them to do, I was becoming the biggest failure. Because by the time that I graduated, I ended up going to Western. Instead of going to my dream school, which was Chapel Hill, I ended up going to Western, which is 20 minutes away. Nothing wrong with Western, don't get me wrong. 20 minutes away from where I lived because I wanted to be able to drive and go home and drive back instead of having to live on campus, because if I got too far away from my drugs, I wouldn't have them anymore. So by the time I was my first semester, 2 months in, I ended up dropping out. I just didn't even go to class anymore because I was so pill sick. I was so sick. I didn't want to go to class hurting. My body would ache. I would go through withdrawals. I did not want to be sitting in class like that. So I just stopped going. And I decided that I needed to stay home so I could hustle, so I could get my fix. That was more important than school. Just like Bob talked about, you don't have the ability to make rational decisions and make good choices. So once my family finally found out that I had dropped out of school because I lied to them for a while, as long as I could, I started stealing from the place that I was working at. I ended up getting fired, and anytime I got a paycheck, I was spending all my money on drugs. My parents, I kept asking for more and more money, and they kept saying, like, where is all your money going to? And they finally caught on, so they quit giving me money. So when that happened, I decided I would start stealing from stores. That led into me selling drugs. I decided that's the only way that I can get the money to continue my drug habit, that's what I'll do. So that ended up landing me in and out of jail. And when I was 25, right before the last time I went to jail, I was in a really bad car wreck. I had stole somebody's car. And when they showed up to get their car back, I jumped in the car and took them on a high-speed chase because that was my rational thinking. That was my, I felt like that was okay to do. This was December 26th. As I'm coming around the curve, I hit a patch of black ice and it slings me straight into a tree. So I ended up breaking both the bones in my bottom leg and fractured my hip and my spine. I literally paid somebody to drag me from the car because, number one, I had drugs on me. Number two, I had warrants. Number three, I stole somebody's car. So my rational thinking was to get as far away from there as I could. And so they dragged me from the vehicle till finally someone was like, you need to go to the hospital. I was so scared to go to the hospital with my leg hanging there because I didn't want to go to jail. I ended up having to have emergency surgery on my leg, and I went through all this by myself. All my friends nowhere to be found, my using buddies, Nobody came to see me. The only three people that came to see me were three people that were in treatment, three people that were in rehab. And finally, I got a hold of my family, and my family came over there. And even then, I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop doing the drugs. All I could think about was that moment, I'm going to get pain pills for the rest of my life. And I couldn't get my prescription from them fast enough. So I ended up going to prison shortly after that because we were selling drugs. I had caught a felony charge from that, and I got sentenced to do prison time. And when I got out then, I still couldn't stop. I still ran back to the streets. The last time that I went to jail, I had a jailer. He took me up to the front, and he picked up my face sheet, and he said, he looked at it, and he read my name. My name is Caitlin Hope. Caitlin Hope Ledford, and he looked at it and he said, Caitlin Hope, more like Caitlin Hopeless. Mind you, I looked like the girl, the first picture, that was the last time I went to jail, that's what I looked like. I knew I was hopeless. I felt like I truly, I was the most shameful moment in my life. I knew exactly where I was at. And that broke me. Just to have someone say, beat me and say, beat me even further down than I already felt, to tell me like, you're just hopeless. I don't see you coming out of this. But it also did light a fire under me because I wanted to prove him wrong. While I was in jail, I had a friend that I used to use with. She asked me, she said, Caitlin, will you make me a promise? She said, promise me that when you get out this time, you will not stick another drug in your body. So I thought about it, as many times as my parents asked me to make this same promise, as many times as my mom was crying, begging me to please go to treatment, as many times as I tried to make this promise to myself because I didn't want to live that way anymore. Every time I was getting out of jail, I truly wanted to quit using, but I always ended up going back to the streets. As many times as I tried to make that promise to myself, I couldn't do it. But for whatever reason, I made that promise to my friend, and I do believe, I feel like that was God speaking to me through my friend. And I was able to get out, and I haven't stuck another drug in my body since then. Until you're broken, you don't know what you're made of. It gives you the ability to build yourself all over again, but stronger than ever before. And it wasn't until I got out of jail and started getting into recovery and started asking for help and started seeking support and started being around positive people. I stayed away from my using buddies. It wasn't until all of that, until I finally realized, like, I have a new beginning. I have the chance that a lot of people don't get because they do overdose or something bad does happen. I have another chance to change my life and to build myself up stronger than ever before. So that's why, we do the things that we do. We go and speak. I got saved. I'm doing these things because I want to inspire you guys to realize that it doesn't end there. That you can continue to keep going and you can change your not only your life, but you can change the lives of those around you. So my husband told you about us biking the Pacific Coast Highway, and when we do these big, physical feats like that, along the way, we're sharing with people about recovery. We're sharing our story with people. We're encouraging people to get out there and do something that they feel like they could never achieve, right? Because after I broke my leg, I didn't think I could get on a bike and bike 700 miles, for the fun of it. I want to share a video with you guys. This is recorded while we were biking, and if you're familiar with the Pacific Coast Highway, it's out towards Washington, Oregon, and California, and there are some huge mountains out there. Beautiful country, but a lot of elevation. So we had to bike up some huge mountains and cliffs just to get through this thing.
49 miles in, baby. What are you thinking right now? We got another 8 to go.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to share that with you is because that moment was the most pivotal moment of my life, right? I'm continuing to learn each and every time I do something like this and each and every single day. Well, in that moment, I'd come against something that I felt like was stronger than me, tougher than me. And I guarantee you're going to hit moments like that. We all go through storms in life. We're all going to have moments where we're going to feel like we want to give up. And that would have been the easy way out. You know, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But I chose to keep pushing. I knew that if I quit, I would regret it. I wouldn't feel accomplished, and I wouldn't have been able to go on this remarkable journey, life-changing journey with an amazing husband by my side. I also want to point out how my husband, he did support me. He did lift me up. He encouraged me. You know, he told me, like, don't give up, keep pushing. And he done what he could to make me feel better about it. And I want to encourage you guys to find your tribe. Find those people that are going to encourage you and help you and support you in life. Whether that's friends, whether that's teachers, whether that's your parents, whoever, whatever that looks like. Find those people and surround yourself with those positive people. You know, be the person that just went for it. I feel like in life there are times that an opportunity rises up that you can do something really incredible and remarkable. And I feel like sometimes we back down from it because of fear. You know, I didn't have much training whenever we went on this bike ride. My husband, he's very athletic, and I've had to build myself up to that. You know, it gets tough, especially having a metal rod in your leg. With first, zero experience using clip-ins on a bike, so I did fall over a few times, just saying. And, but still, I looked fear in the eye, and I went for it. I had to be the girl that just went for it. So I want to encourage you guys, like, don't let anything stop you from being the person you're destined to be. And to finish, I just want to wrap up with this. You know, my name is Caitlin Hope Ledford McCoy. I'm not a junkie. I'm not hopeless. I'm not a dopehead. Those were things that I was going through. That was the situation that I was in. But even at that time, I was still somebody's daughter, still a sister. Today, I'm a wife. I'm a recovery champ. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a carrier of hope. I'm a lioness. I have strength and courage and bravery. You know, I've completely changed my life and I'm walking out the person that I was created to be. I want to encourage you guys to lift each other up. I want to encourage you guys, you know, if you need help, don't be afraid to ask. That was one of the scariest things that I ever done, was tell somebody that I needed help. I seen how many of you guys stood up. It was more than half the room. I probably seen more people in this class stand up that know somebody that's struggling. And it could be a loved one, a family member, just somebody, you know, a friend, or it could be you. I want you guys to take the time, make a goal in your life, to reach out to more people, to be a voice, to make an impact, to be a world changer. Touch your neighbor and say, world changer. You guys are amazing.
Today I would like to introduce Jamie Judd. He's been serving the Enka community for over 26 years, being a first responder while also teaching a class at Enka. He's stayed in the Enka community since high school, graduating from Enka in 1989 and going to Western Carolina University to get his undergraduate degree. Please welcome Jamie Judd.
My name's James, I'm a paramedic with Buncombe County EMS. Right now I oversee training.
kind of give a local perspective of what's been talked about this morning. It's really easy to sit back and say this is happening someplace else. It's happening, in the bigger cities in Charlotte and Raleigh, or part of the West counties, or other states like West Virginia or Ohio that we see in the news all the time. We talk that are talking about the opioid epidemic. But we have a problem here in Buncombe County, and it is real. The statistics behind me, it shows the number of ER visits to Mission Hospital through July of this year. 180 people have gone to the ER for an opioid-related condition. So that's a pretty big amount for the community that we live in. And the bigger thing to take away from this is the numbers below that 180, at 163. That is the number of patients this same time last year that presented the exact same way to Mission. This is over a 10% increase. So this tells us this problem is still here, it's still happening, and then we're not leveling off yet. So, we know this is out there, it's in our community. This map represents the last 18 months in Buncombe County. Each blue dot that's on the map is one person who received Narcan or naloxone because of an opioid overdose. How many people have heard of Narcan or naloxone? Okay, product in hands. This is a medication that we give, fire carries it, EMS, law enforcement carry it. It's a reversal agent that's specific to opioids. Opioids kill because they cause the person to stop breathing, and that's what makes it so deadly. And this is a drug that we give to try to reverse those effects so they don't die. So each one of these dots is one person who's received naloxone or Narcan over the last 18 months in Buncombe County. It's easy to look and say, oh, most of this is in downtown Asheville. A third of the population of Buncombe County lives inside the city limits. But if you look at the blue section, or excuse me, the yellow section, this is the Enka High School District. This is your community. These are your neighbors, your family, your friends. Each blue dot is one person who's overdosed over the last 18 months. We know that during your high school career, going into college, you're going to be in situations where you're going to be around people who are using, you may be using yourself. You know people who are struggling with addiction. There's two things we want you to take away, from today. First of all, the science and that message, of hope, from addiction. But there's two things from the first responder side we want you to know. First of all, if you get in a situation where you're in trouble, you're with somebody who's in trouble, and you need help, it is okay to call 911. We want you to call 911 and get help. A lot of people are afraid to reach out for assistance because they're afraid of getting in trouble. You're doing something you probably shouldn't be doing. If I call 911, law enforcement's going to show up, fire's going to show up, EMS, I'm going to get in trouble. Laws were changed in North Carolina several years ago, and when somebody reaches out for somebody who's having a crisis because of an overdose, that the callers cannot be charged for small amounts of drugs, drug paraphernalia, or underage drinking. This is to encourage people to contact 911 more often. Too many people were dying from preventable deaths because somebody was afraid to call 911. That's the first message we want you to take from this, or from my side, is it's okay to call 911 when somebody gets in trouble. We know, we've been there. I was in those seats 30 years ago, exact same seats. We know you're going to be in situations where somebody's going to be using or you may be using. Do not be afraid. The other thing we want you to know is that you're not alone. There are resources around you every day for you to reach out for help, either for yourself or someone you know who's suffering from addiction. First of all, right here in your school, there are a ton of people who are willing to help you. Your school resource officer, Deputy Collins, you see him every day. He's walking the halls. He's talking to you. He wants to help. Talk with him. Reach out to him. He's a good resource for you. Your school social worker, again, she has contacts. She knows people. And she can talk with you, help you find the resources either for yourself or for a friend or family member who's suffering with addiction. Your school counselors, there's a whole office suite downstairs full of people here. Their whole job is to help you. Reach out to them. They're there for you. And then your school nurse, but just your standard teachers. Really and truly, they're not here to make your life miserable. They're here to help. And if you're struggling, with substance abuse or know somebody, reach out to them, and they're willing to help you and get you the help contacts that you need. If you're not willing or not comfortable reaching inside the school for help, there are tons of resources out in the community in Montgomery County that are there for you to use. And this is just a sample of that. Mobile crisis. This is an 800 number for resources that you can call. You can talk to somebody, get connections. They will even come out to you when somebody's in crisis and help with both substance abuse and mental health issues. C356, the comprehensive care facility. This isn't what we call a mental health urgent care. So you think about Fast Med, Sisters of Mercy, you sprain your ankle, you get the flu, you go there, you can see a doctor for that. Same concept, but around mental health and substance abuse. You can present there, or on Biltmore Avenue, just below the hospitals, and you can talk to somebody who can get you contacted with help. This is Bob's group, Red Oak Recovery. Like he said, if you want to reach out to him, he's more than available. There's their contact number. There are many peer support type groups throughout the county and inside the city. This is the number one way we find that people get the best help is when they contact somebody who's gone through the same situation that you're going through or they're going through. So we want you to reach out. And also a child crisis center, their 800 number here for you also. But the big thing is, you're not alone. We want to help you. We want to be there for you. We need you to reach out and make those connections. Whether it's for you, whether it's for a friend, or it's for a family member who's suffering from addiction, we want you to reach out and find these resources so you can be safe and you can live up to your potential. Thank you.
Next up, we have Gerald.
Thank you for listening to our speaker's story, and I'm hoping that it gave y'all hope, and I hope that y'all know if yourself, friend, or family member does truly need help in this at home, that you're not alone, you're not first, and that speak up because you won't be judged, and I hope you can help. Thank you. For further information, there's a resource table out on the left for more help with information on how to get help. Too late.